Healing ancestral trauma has a massive ripple effect. So science now shows that if something happens to us that is painful or traumatic, it actually gets passed down through our DNA to our descendants for generations, multiple generations. And so that means that in our DNA, we're also carrying the pain or trauma from our ancestors. And sometimes we might go through things in this life that is actually triggering ancestral trauma, and we might not always be fully cognizant of it. But when we can heal what is coming through us, it can have a profound and powerful effect. So, for example, something at some point happened in society that triggered me in a way where I felt for over a week after this thing happened, every morning I felt like I was waking up in a nightmare, and then I was grieving tremendously all throughout the day. I'd be crying and feeling so much grief to the point where it didn't really logically make sense why this was having such a big effect on me. And I felt like it was ancestral trauma. So I felt like it was ancestral pain that I was feeling. And I had a therapy session, and I let my therapist know like what was going on with me emotionally and how I felt like it was ancestral pain that was coming up that I was feeling. And she guided me through this beautiful visualization meditation, and in it I had two of my ancestors on either side of me. And I have two ancestors who did stuff in their careers that was prominent enough that there are public historical records about their lives and their careers and what they did. And so in this situation, though, what had happened societally affected women, and it was that type of pain and trauma that was coming up. And so the people who were my ancestors who were on either side was the two wives of these two men who were my great-great-great-grandfather and great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. And so this was their wives whose names that I know and I've seen pictures of, but because how our society has been generationally and especially historically, it typically was men who had more prominent roles in society and who were in the history books and history records. So there was less known about the women. And in this case, I had one great-great-great-grandmother having on one side with her hand on me, and then the other great-great-great-great-grandmother on the other side with her hand on me. And then this was ancestors on one side of the family, and then on the other side of the family in this vision was my grandmother, who was stepping forward towards me, and she had a locket in her hands that she gave me in the shape of a heart. And when I opened it, I saw thousands of women, and so it was all of my ancestors from all sides of my family, but all the women. And it was showing me how what I was processing and purging and what was coming up for me was all of their wounding historically that they had felt that maybe they didn't get the chance to fully feel or move through or heal in their lifetime, and it might have been passed down to me through DNA. And so historically, women weren't considered people. They were considered the property of men. So first they were the property of their father, and then they became the property of their husband if and when they got married. And this was up until the 1920s in North America. And so this is why in a wedding, it's the father that gives away his daughter to her husband because she's his property, and now she's becoming the next man's property. And so throughout our history, or up until very recently, women were not allowed to own property or own businesses or have their own bank account. And so I felt all of this pain and trauma throughout thousands of women in my lineage of just not having basic human rights, not having the same human rights as men. And so what that does to someone, even if it's just subtly, like these women weren't necessarily all feminists and aware consciously of what was happening, but I'm sure it was still at least a subtle thing of that sense of their worth was a lot lower than a man's. So I went through about 2 weeks while I was going through this process where all of this pain was coming up to be felt and moved through me. I was doing tons of healing work in that time. So every single day I was getting energy healing and doing energy healing work on myself. And I was swimming and going in the sauna and the hot tub and whatever was healing, where I was bringing about healing energy into myself and my being and letting myself grieve and letting all of these tears come out to be felt and processed and moved, because we understand with physics that energy cannot be destroyed nor created, only transferred. And so all of that energy that existed in these thousands of women who came before me, that energy went somewhere, right? And scientifically, it shows that it goes into our DNA. And so that exists within me. And this societal event that happened really helped to trigger it to fully come out and be fully processed and healed. And what I was seeing in my visions as all of this was happening too is how I believe in reincarnation, so everyone watching here might have different beliefs, and that's okay if you do. So for my own beliefs with reincarnation, if there's thousands of women who were in my lineage as my ancestors, they might be living lives right now, maybe on Earth, maybe elsewhere, who knows what goes on, or where they might be. But if they are, let's say there's thousands of people on this planet who they were all my ancestors in past lives, me affecting them through healing their energy through myself by doing this ancestral healing, I felt like I could see this ripple effect in thousands of people on Earth where I shifted something energetically for not only myself, but also for them. And so as they're living their lives right now, something might have shifted where maybe it's just a subtle sense of more empowerment or more peace or more heart opening, where they might have been carrying more anger and resentment. Now that's shifted. And so this is the profundity, I don't know if that's the word, but the profundity or the profoundness of what we do when we're doing ancestral healing, is that not only are we healing ourselves in a profound way, so all of our connections moving forward in life will be shifted because we're coming into them from a more empowered, a more loving, a more balanced, and a more peaceful state. But we are also potentially helping to heal thousands of other people on the planet who may have been our ancestors in past lives. And so we might go through things that feel really painful at the time, and I just wanted to share this message to affirm how important and powerful our own inner work and our own inner journeys are, and that we might not always tangibly see how much of an effect they can have on the world or others, but they really do. And if you are on a healing journey or you've done any type of healing work on yourself, then I want to commend you and thank you for what you're doing to help the planet and the universe to shift things, to bring the world to a place of more love and more peace and more joy. So thank you for all you do. And if you'd like some help on your healing journey, I have a lot of energy healing resources in the video description. I have some energy healing programs, some guided energy healing meditations. So please take a look in this video description and see if there's anything that you'd like to sign up for. There's stuff for free you can listen to and watch. And if you enjoyed this video, then I'd really appreciate if you give it a thumbs up. It helps me out and it'll help more people get this message too. So thank you so much for being here, and may you be happy, healthy, and free. Bye.